Before fancy gyms and protein shakes, there was just sweat and grit. The legends of boxing, Muhammad Ali, Luis and Marciano, they weren't built in air-conditioned facilities with personal trainers hovering nearby. They were forged in dingy basements, on gravel roads before sunrise. This video ain't about how to get a fighter's physique for summer. This is about how men once prepared their bodies for war, because that's what boxing was to them. The methods were crude, sometimes brutal, often mind-numbingly repetitive, but they created warriors whose names still echo through history decades later. Welcome to Back to Boxing. Let's go back in time and see what real conditioning looked like when boxers didn't have science, they just had suffering. The philosophy. The old-timers had a saying, the more you bleed in the gym, the less you bleed in the ring. This wasn't just tough talk, it was the bedrock of their entire approach to training. These guys weren't looking to tone up or get fit. They were preparing their bodies to withstand horrific punishment while delivering the same. Every aspect of training reflected this brutal reality. Jack Dempsey put it straight. A champion is someone who gets up when he can't. These men weren't working out. They were preparing for war. But philosophy alone doesn't forge champions. It takes methods, brutal, time-tested methods that separate the legends from the forgotten. And it all started before sunrise, with the most fundamental discipline in a boxer's life. Before a fighter can throw a single punch, before they can absorb a body shot, and before they can even step into the ring, they need one thing above all else: stamina. Old-school boxers understood this better than anyone. That's why they approached road work. Road work, the lost art. Every old-school fighter's day started the same way, in darkness. Modern fighters still run, but they often prioritize shorter, more explosive workouts. Old-school fighters, on the other hand, treated running like a sacred ritual, a way to build unmatched endurance and mental toughness. Most old-school champions ran anywhere between 5 to 10 miles every morning, often before sunrise. They didn't just jog at a steady pace, they ran on hilly terrain, in heavy boots, sometimes carrying weights or wearing ankle weights to increase resistance. Joe Louis would be up at 5:30, lacing up heavy work boots, not cushy running shoes with gel inserts, to pound out 4 to 6 miles before most people had their first cup of coffee. Marciano ran through New England snowstorms, wearing heavy sweatshirts soaked in his own sweat. When asked why he didn't skip a day during a blizzard, he reportedly said, "What if the guy I'm fighting is running today?" Muhammad Ali trudged through Florida swamps wearing combat boots to build leg strength. No heart rate monitors, no performance tracking apps, just mile after mile of suffering. The old-timers knew something modern science has only recently confirmed, that mental toughness is built through daily confrontation with discomfort. Body toughening. Running built a fighter's endurance, but stamina alone wasn't enough. Boxing is a brutal sport where every fighter takes hits, no matter how skilled they are. Old-school boxers knew this and trained their bodies to absorb punishment without breaking down. One of the most effective methods was impact training, standing still while a trainer slammed a medicine ball into their stomach or threw real punches to the ribs. This conditioned their core to take body shots without flinching. Some fighters even let heavy bags swing into their torsos to simulate real fight conditions. Another common method was wood chopping, not just a strength-building exercise, but a way to develop a rock-solid core. Swinging an axe for hours strengthened the oblique muscles, which were crucial for both throwing powerful punches and withstanding body shots. Fighters like George Foreman and Rocky Marciano swore by this technique, believing it gave them an edge in both power and durability. Fighters also used the heavy bag itself for conditioning. Instead of just punching it, they would let it swing back and slam into their torsos to train their ability to take body shots. Some even practiced knuckle push-ups on hard surfaces to toughen their hands and wrists, reducing the risk of injury in a real fight. Perhaps the most extreme form of body toughening came from fighters like Jake LaMotta, who allowed sparring partners to hit him full force just to condition his ability to absorb damage. His legendary durability wasn't just genetics, it was forged through years of relentless conditioning. Now let's talk about neck training. You'll see plenty of people in the gym working on their biceps and chest, but how often do you see someone training their neck? Probably never. But old-school fighters knew something modern athletes often overlook. A strong neck isn't just for looks. It's the key to absorbing punches and staying on your feet. Take Floyd Patterson, for example. He spent 30 minutes a day doing neck bridges, supporting his entire body weight on his head and rolling from side to side. Mike Tyson, trained in the old-school way by Cus D'Amato, took it even further, doing up to 500 neck bridges daily, building a 20-inch thick neck that helped him take massive shots without going down. In the 1940s and 50s, even lightweights had thick, powerful necks. They knew the real danger wasn't just getting hit, it was getting knocked out by a punch they didn't see coming. A strong neck reduces whiplash and keeps a fighter conscious, giving them a chance to recover. Sparring, the crucible. If there's one area where old-school methods differed most dramatically from today, it's sparring. Modern boxing gyms typically feature controlled sparring, limited rounds, matched partners, specific objectives. It's smart, it's safer, and it probably extends careers. But that's not how the legends did it. Back then, fighters like Sonny Liston treated sparring days like fight days. They held nothing back. Partners weren't selected because they mimicked an upcoming opponent's style. They were chosen because they could bring hell. Muhammad Ali would spar round after round with fresh opponents rotating in, building the supernatural endurance that let him survive the Thriller in Manila. Rocky Marciano reportedly knocked out over 30 sparring partners during his career, not because he was mean, but because he didn't know any other way to train than all out. Was this smart from a long-term health perspective? Hell no. Did it build fighters who were mentally prepared for anything they might face in the ring? Absolutely. These men stepped into title fights knowing they'd already faced the worst in training. The real fight was just another day at the office. Recovery, toughness over technology. Walk into a modern boxing gym and you'll see cryotherapy chambers, compression boots, electrical stimulation units, and a dozen other recovery gadgets. The old-timers had ice, if they were lucky. Jake LaMotta would sit in a tub of ice water after training, not for a carefully timed 3 to 5 minutes like today's athletes, but until he couldn't feel his legs. This wasn't recovery science. This was building toughness. Massage was essential, but it wasn't the gentle Swedish variety. It was deep, painful work from trainers with hands like sandpaper, breaking up scar tissue and forcing blood into damaged tissues. Sleep, however, was respected as sacred. Joe Louis demanded 8 to 10 hours nightly during training camp. Muhammad Ali did the same. They understood intuitively what science now confirms, that the body rebuilds itself during sleep. But perhaps the biggest difference was philosophical. Where modern recovery aims to eliminate soreness and fatigue, old-school boxers viewed discomfort as the price of improvement. They didn't try to avoid pain. They made peace with it as a necessary companion on the road to greatness. Mental conditioning, the ultimate weapon. The most valuable thing old-school methods built wasn't visible in the mirror. It was mental toughness, the ability to continue when the body screams to stop. This wasn't developed through motivational speeches or self-help books. It was forged through daily confrontation with suffering, through road work when legs felt like concrete, through sparring when ribs were bruised, through heavy bag sessions when shoulders burned like fire. Muhammad Ali's legendary trainer Angelo Dundee said, "The fight is won or lost far away from witnesses, behind the lines, in the gym and out there on the road, long before I dance under those lights." This mental conditioning allowed fighters to push through the darkest moments in championship fights, to find resources within themselves when their bodies had nothing left to give. It was this mental fortitude, more than any physical attribute, that separated the legends from the forgotten. Now see, modern boxing has gained much through science and technology. Fighters today are better protected, better nourished, and probably have longer careers because of it. But something has been lost along the way, something raw and essential about what it means to prepare your body for combat. The old methods weren't always smart, weren't always safe, but they built men who could withstand anything, who could go to hell and back in the ring and somehow find the will to continue. In our comfortable world of cushioned shoes and climate-controlled gyms, we'd do well to remember that greatness rarely comes without sacrifice, that the body must sometimes be broken down to be rebuilt stronger. The spirit of old-school conditioning isn't about specific exercises or routines. It's about the willingness to do what others won't, to push beyond reasonable limits, to make friends with suffering. What do you think about this? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.